on the Newman Jets Audio Network. This is the Jetcast, the official podcast of Newman University Athletics, featuring exclusive interviews with coaches, players, administrators, and more. The Jetcast podcast is brought to you by Ascension Via Christi, Donlinger Construction, Mel Hambledon Ford, Eck Agency, Dr. Brennan Lucas and Advanced Orthopedic Associates, Keystone Solid Surfaces, Big Corner Creative, Pepsi, and by iCryo Recovery and Wellness. Here's the voice of the Newman Jets, Blake Cripps.
Newman Jets baseball is back to work this weekend, taking on Central Oklahoma. We'll have the coverage for you on the Newman Jets Audio Network. The Jets 11-17, 5-8 in the MIAA. It is hard to believe that we've already got 13 conference baseball games in the books. Coach Drew Mouse joins us for episode 92 of the Jetcast. Coach, appreciate the time. I know that a little bit of a weather challenge this week trying to get those games in, but never an easy trip up to Central Missouri. How do you feel like the guys fared up there in Warrensburg?
I thought we played okay. I mean, we had one bad inning in game 2 in Asher's game, where we just didn't make 2 or 3 plays that led to 8 runs. And I thought Garrett threw well on Sunday in game 1. Just some unlucky stuff happened, and then I thought we competed our tails off yesterday, and had a unfortunate play at the plate that I thought we got the guy out at the plate. We had a bang play at first base that didn't go our way, that allowed a run to score on that play. And then they're good, and
they are.
They kept the pressure on us the entire game, and I thought our guys did a good job of answering. When they scored, we came back and scored and kept it close, and we just got to be a little better next time.
Well, and something that we talked about last year as we went through the season is you felt like there were some series last season, as we discussed last year, that you felt like you guys didn't necessarily get better inside the series. Do you feel like it feels like you guys have gotten better? Not that you've been able to sweep teams this year, but it definitely seems like you showed improvement against Central Missouri as the series went on.
Yeah, I think the one series that still eats at me is the Washburn series.
This season?
Yeah, this season.
Sure.
It still eats at me. We had Garrett threw fantastic in game 1. I tried to pull a rabbit out of the hat in the bottom of the 9th with some defensive maneuvering and everything like that, and they had a sac fly to walk us off. We were up 7 runs in game 2, and make a throwing error, not catch a ball in a double play, and then it goes jam shot, cap shot, ball down the line, and now they're up.
Sure.
And we had, I think we lost 19-12 or something like that, and we had given up 10 unearned runs that game, and everything happened with 2 outs, and that was frustrating. And then we climb back on game 3 and get walked off again. So the one thing I've tried telling our guys is that they're one of the top 3 teams in the conference, and we're right there pitch for pitch the entire game. We play Central Missouri, and I don't think that they are head and shoulders better than us, but they do smaller stuff that allowed them to win games that we're still struggling and trying to do better.
Well, you mentioned how you've been able to perform against some of the top teams in the MIAA, and obviously this year getting a big top 25 victory over our number 21 Rogers State to kind of open up the conference season. And Garrett VanDeventer is going to be coming up here as we move forward on the Jetcast, and then we'll get back in touch with Coach Gustafson to talk softball here in a little bit. But boy, Garrett, he was great, and I know that win against Rogers State, boy, that sent you off in a real positive start to the MIAA season.
Yeah, he's been great this year. Asher's been up and down. Nate's had really good outings. He's just been unlucky at times. But Vandy's been very good at least giving us a chance to compete for the entire series, and not just, 1 or 2 games or whatever. And, our offense this year is a little different than it was last year. Last year was more guerrilla ball. We're just going to try and hit the ball out of the yard a lot. I feel like this year we have a lot more versatility with what we do. We haven't struck out a whole lot, which is good. We've walked a lot more. We put pressure on teams, and I think that Rogers State series was big for us in order to do that, to show the versatility that we have, and given the opportunity with good pitching outings that we can hang with everybody.
Well, and you guys had won 5 of your last 6 going into this series. You got the series win over Missouri Western, a couple of non-conference games, and then in your midweek series, you got every team in the MIAA plays one midweek series that they will play on a series of Tuesdays, not necessarily all consecutively, but you play one series. You have 2 at their place, 1 at your place,
right.
Or vice versa. This year, the Jets are the road team in that series, so you go on the road and you get game 1 at Fort Hays State. So coming back, I think that was coming after the Washburn series, so you have to be really pleased with how your team bounced back after that disappointment to go on a little bit of a run there.
Yeah, I think it goes hand in hand with what we talked about in the preseason preview. We have the mental maturity to do things, is that focus allowing us to do it, and I just told our team yesterday after the game that our defensive output, the things that show up yesterday didn't happen because we didn't do things right yesterday. It happened because we didn't do things right 2 weeks ago. And so, after the Washburn series, we actually got back to work. We started focusing more, getting better, and then we reel off 5 in a row or 5 of 6 or whatever it was.
Yes.
And we feel comfortable, we feel confident, and maybe we take a break here from doing this the right way or take a break here from doing that the right way, and then that catches up this weekend. And so if we want to be good in 2 weeks, we need to make sure this week and next week that we do the right things, make sure we're disciplined in our focus and everything that we're trying to do.
How do you have to stay disciplined this week with obviously a much different build-up to the week? On Tuesday, you guys take the day off, coming back after the Sunday-Monday series, a doubleheader, kind of going back to the old Heartland Conference way of doing things because of the weather. It was, it was cold down here in Wichita. I can't imagine what it was like up in Warrensburg.
Oh, it was warm.
When
85 degrees, sunny,
when you guys
no wind whatsoever.
We're supposed to play that series, but in terms of that mental focus, how do you guys have to kind of make sure you do stay focused with a short prep week to get set for the Broncos?
Well, I think the one thing that is a good thing that we haven't had in a couple weeks is we get an actual day off and
no midweek,
not time to relax.
Yes.
We went. I think I counted at one point it was either 13 games in 17 days or 14 games in 17 days, something in that realm, which is very tiresome. And
I think you guys have like midweeks the next month. It seems like next 4 weeks. I think.
Yeah, but there was the one. I think it was the way that it was scheduled. We got moved up. Yeah, because Washburn, we went Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, off day, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yes.
And before all of that stuff happened, I was like, this is pro baseball. Like, welcome to pro baseball. You're going to have to figure it out. We try to change some of the things that we do from a practice standpoint, where we did more work on game day. But then on the days that we gave, like, you were not doing anything today. Like, don't come in and hit, don't do anything. So trying to give them the extra day off. This week has been, will be, I think, a good time for us to take a break, re-energize and everything, and get our batteries recharged.
Well, let's talk a little bit about Central Oklahoma. Once again, you can watch those games on the MIAA Network, the MIAAnetwork.com/Newman. Listen at NewmanJets.com/listen. And this is a UCO team that had been playing very, very well. You mentioned some weird things happening. Some weird things happened in Game 3 of that series against Fort Hays State. But this is still a UCO team that leads the league in ERA coming in, so they've been pitching the ball very, very well. Not quite as good offensively as they were a season ago, though. Mm-hmm. So as you've kind of started to get ready for the Broncos, what are the things that pop out to you about them?
We have to make sure that we have good approaches at the plate. We have to put the ball in play. They're very good defensively too, but we have to put the ball in play. Use our speed to our advantage at times. Take advantage of walks, and then from a pitching standpoint, like you said, they're not a bad offense. They're just not as big as they used to be. They used to be like, we're going to hit the ball out of the park, and now they try to play fast a little more. So we've got to make sure that we cut down on walks, make sure we make the plays when the ball is hit to us and everything like that, and hope for a non-windy day, I guess, would be the best thing. We're in Wichita, Kansas, so
unlikely. So excited to have all these. We'll have all of the MIAA conference games at home the rest of the year for you on the audio network. So make sure that you are listening and watching either one on Friday. We'd love to have you join us at 3 o'clock for the first pitch for the Jets and the Broncos. Coach Drew Mouse, we'll be talking to you a lot here these next few weeks. Thanks so much.
Appreciate it.
Garrett VanDeventer is scheduled to be the Game 1 starter. We'll talk to him next on the Jetcast.
Where can you land the best Jet swag? The official online store of Newman University Athletics, NUJetsgear.com. Store features the greatest variety of Jets logo gear anywhere, from latest clothing styles and hats to Newman-branded lawn chairs and office supplies and more. NUJetsgear.com is your place to purchase sports-specific, alumni, parents, and hard-to-find Newman merchandise. Shop right now on your computer or phone. NUJetsgear.com or click the Shop Now button at NewmanJets.com.
Back here getting set for Newman Jets Baseball, our debut on the network this week. So excited to have Newman Jets Baseball for you here on the Newman Jets Audio Network. Big series against a regional rival in Central Oklahoma. We'll have the games covered for you. NewmanJets.com/listen. As we mentioned, it's a 3 o'clock first pitch on Friday. And Garrett VanDeventer is with us, a 6'2 pitcher out of Arkansas City, an MIAA Pitcher of the Week this year. 3-2 with a 4.71 ERA. And he gutted through a 5-inning loss at UCM, but he had strung together 3 straight quality starts before that. Garrett, thanks so much for being on the show. How are you?
I'm pretty good. Thanks for having me.
Well,
I really appreciate it.
This week is a little bit different for you guys as we get set. Tuesday, you guys had to move the series to a Sunday, Monday, and then off day on Tuesday, getting back into the groove of things on Wednesday. People will be watching and listening to this on Wednesday. How do you guys know in baseball that the schedule is only a suggestion? How do you guys try to keep yourself flexible? Are you a real regimented player in terms of how you like to kind of prepare for your start every week?
Last year was kind of when I got into the starting role here, it was you'll pitch every Friday. And, once schedules started getting adjusted, it was kind of nice getting those extra days of rest, but then you realize you're short for the next week. So last year was when I really kind of got used to that, and this year's already been kind of a test of that. I've had a couple of short days of rest, and then from Washburn to UCM, I had 2 extra days actually, which was nice, but this week's going to be kind of a big league week for me. I only got 4 days of rest coming into UCO.
So do you feel like you're ready to handle that?
Yeah, 100%. We kind of I think we kept this on a pitch count this past week at UCM.
Okay.
Got up to about 85. I'm going to get in the gym today, get in the pool, stretch out, go see the trainer, and just get my body ready to go this week.
Central Missouri is always a chore. What makes it so difficult to just string outs together against the Mules?
You just can't take a pitch off, 1 through 9. If you leave it anywhere they can hit it, they're going to take advantage. And a conversation I was having, we was actually with my dad last night, was, those coaches, they get paid to watch film of me throwing. So, with getting that pitcher of the week, it was a great reward, good team effort. But that kind of just put me on the map, and that more eyes were on me from a coaching position. And, throwing well against Rogers, against Washburn, even against Missouri Western, they knew what my quirks were. They knew what my timings were, what I do differently, what I do in certain counts. So, they put the ball in play when they needed to, and they hit a lot of ground balls where our fielders weren't. So, I mean, it was just from pitch 1 to pitch 85, it was just a mental game the whole time.
And they talk about that in other sports where, like if it's in football, you're playing a team for the third time, regular season, you go there, then you're in the NFL playoffs, you play them again. Mm-hmm. People will talk about, well, how much do you change? Because at that point, you don't necessarily want to change who you are because you're obviously having a great year. You're successful doing the things you do because that's what you do and you're doing them for a reason. But at the same time, I know this is the same way for you. You don't want to be predictable. Mm-hmm. So how do you kind of walk that line in terms of being the best pitcher that Garrett VanDeventer can be, but at the same time wanting to make sure that you're still keeping your hitters that you're facing off balance?
That's one of my strengths is, keeping them off balance. That's something that Coach Mouse and I have really tried to embrace this year. And even for my defense, I tell my shortstop, second baseman, third baseman before every game, I said, be ready to stay busy today. So, and against UCM, they did put the ball on the ground a lot. They did elevate the ball a couple times off of me. But I think they were really expecting me to stay low in the zone with a bunch of off speed, and they capitalized off that.
Well, and there's so many pitchers that all they care about is the strikeouts. There are so many pitchers that are worried about making contact with bats, but you're a guy who you almost invite the contact. You want contact with the bat. You're pitching to contact.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Trying to make the pitch move too much has kind of been a battle of mine this year. So when I get hitters into an 0-2 or even a 1-2 count, there'll be times where I'll throw a changeup down, but I really try to get out there and make it move too much. One thing we've really focused on is just trusting the grip and just throwing it, and if they hit it, they hit it. A two-strike ground ball that finds a hole, it's like a 4 or 5 hopper. I'm not really too concerned about that, but when I elevate a two-strike pitch and they get a double or a triple off of it, that's when something has to change there. Well,
and we talked about you gaining confidence a little earlier on, and you go to 9 innings against the number 21 Hellcats, get a complete game shutout. That had to feel pretty good. What was working for you that day?
It was pretty cold that day. Staying warm was probably the hardest part of that day. But Mouse and I were talking before that game, and we just wanted to keep the same approach with them. And I was able to move the ball in and out, given that I couldn't really feel my hands that much. But defense was working really well that day. That was a great team effort of a win. Like I said in the article, the award might be in my name, but that was a full Newman Jets effort.
Coach Mouse is coaching pitchers for the first time. Not that I know that from talking to him in the past, he's given his opinion in the past on pitchers, whether he's the pitching coach or not. But what's it been like to be working with him a little bit more closely, with him coaching the pitchers directly this year?
It's been great. Robbie did a really good job last year with us, and Mouse he stepped up to that role, and he's done a great job of being there for us to just watch us play catch, warm up, give us drills to work on. He's even researched some things, to help us keep our bodies in shape, like post-throwing. And he's just done a really good job communicating with us, even during the game, after the game, even on our off days. He's done well with giving us the tools that we need to, stay healthy and be successful on the mound.
Well, what are your thoughts on this Bronco team that comes up, not playing with a tremendous amount of confidence, lost their last series, but a team that has, for the most part, pitched really well? They're kind of in the middle of the pack in terms of batting average this season, but a team that has hit very well historically in the MIAA. What are your thoughts as you begin to scout this Bronco team?
Looking at how they've been this year, it's going to be a mound matchup. It's going to be really tough. Their hitters are going to be good. I know they're going to be prepared for us, and we took the series from them last year at their place, which was really good. And going up against even a former coach, he's going to know us on an even deeper level of how we play. So it's going to take a real big team effort to look past that and just know that it's another opponent that we got to take care of business with.
That's not always the case when you go up against a team that has a former assistant coach. Mm-hmm. How do you try to approach that matchup? Obviously, I know you guys loved playing for Coach Ray. I'm sure that there's a competitive part of you that wants you really want to beat. You don't want to lose this series, and at the same point, you don't want to let that get in your head either of saying, "Oh well, gosh, he's going to know everything that I throw and all my tendencies." And how do you kind of play that mind game, knowing that he knows what you did last year, but again, trying to keep them off balance and be a little bit unpredictable.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, once you step on that field, you have no friends that are on the other team.
Of course,
it's always you against the enemy. And I have a lot of respect for Robbie. He was great getting me here. He helped me out a lot last year, like I said. But this weekend, it's going to be all about what can we do to keep him from beating us, just because he knows us. We got to trust the work that we've put in this year with under Coach Mouse and the stuff that he's taught us this year, because I'm a senior in college and I've learned a lot of stuff this year from Coach Mouse.
Of course.
And trusting that and using that this weekend is definitely going to be an advantage that we're going to have.
It is a 3-game series, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, the Jets and the Broncos, 3 o'clock first pitch, and of course pregame with Coach Mouse at 2:45 on Friday on the Newman Jets Audio Network, newmanjets.com/listen, or of course on the Newman Athletics app. And this guy is going to be going in Game 1. Garrett, good luck. Thanks so much for the time.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Coach Gustafson, we're talking Newman Jets softball. We'll be back with Coach G right after this.
I have a little birthday message for you from someone, too.
I heard you really love basketball. You're a good shooter and a good dribbler. Happy birthday, MJ, and I hope you enjoy your day.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Wrapping up the Jetcast here, talking softball. The Jets 9-17, but just getting underway in MIAA play. Coming off of a sweep. 4 games, they played 2 different doubleheaders, 2 down in Oklahoma, 2 here, and the Jets swept Northwestern Oklahoma State, heading to Missouri Western this weekend for a 2 o'clock doubleheader on Friday, and then they go to Northwest Missouri State for a noon doubleheader on Saturday as they really start getting into MIAA play now. Coach Andrea Gustafson, Coach G joining us here on the Jetcast. Coach, congratulations, a big midweek sweep for you here on Monday this week.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Well, non-con is now mostly done. You guys still have a couple more non-con series coming up that you'll sprinkle in, but for the most part now, you're into your MIAA schedule. So how are you feeling about how this team has performed with the non-con, let's say 80% complete?
I would have liked to have seen us play a little bit better throughout the course of our non-conference games. For some reason, we're having a hard time just going into every game with the confidence that we need. We sometimes are playing not to lose instead of playing to win, and it makes a huge difference when you go out there, going all out, playing to win every single pitch, and we sometimes don't do that because I feel like we're afraid to make plays, and you just can't do that.
Well, and we talked with Anissa Ramos, and she definitely, it's one thing to say, hey, we're feeling good. I don't have any reason to believe that she was not being genuine and honest. I mean, it seemed like you guys were feeling good. You guys did good things last year, but it's definitely a different step to saying it, believing in the preseason, and then once you get the cleats on, and the cleats hit the dirt, it's a little bit different, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. I really like this team, and every single time that we go out there, I fully believe that we're going to go out there and win, and there's not a team that we play against that I don't think we can beat. But like I said, the kids have just got to go out there and leave it all on the field, and they can't be afraid to lose. I mean, you can't win games that way. So we've been working in practice on, just different hitting drills, just different sayings, anything that we can do to try and get them to just go out there and play and compete every single day.
Well, and I know that, for the space, they say that the space up here is, maybe the most important, piece of equipment for any sporting team. But boy, a doubleheader sweep earlier this week over Northwestern Oklahoma State, that's got to help in a big way.
Yeah, for sure. Yesterday we showed up and we competed. We had a couple mistakes in the first game, and usually that leads to more mistakes, but yesterday we shut it off after those mistakes and we continued to compete, and it showed. And I wish we can do the same things against everyone else that we do against Northwest Missouri or Northwest Oklahoma State.
Hopefully you will do it against Northwest Missouri this weekend.
Yes, for sure.
Well, in Gianna Navarro leading your team in batting average right now at .338, coming into this portion of your conference schedule. What has she been doing that's led her to have the success that she's having this year?
She's really had a lot of confidence lately. She's going up there and seeing good pitches, not trying to do too much. She's had a lot of line drives up the middle, which when kids are hitting up the middle, that they're seeing the ball well. So she's just going up there, and we had her lower in the lineup. She started hitting well, so we moved her to lead off, and she's done a really good job in that position.
And some players don't necessarily respond well to that. They are hitting in the bottom and there's less pressure on them, and then you move them to a different spot and it doesn't go the way you want. And sometimes there are players who are not hitting well at the bottom. You move them up to the leadoff hitter and we should have had her as the leadoff the whole time. How do you kind of make that decision with you and your coaching staff as to, when to try to tinker with the order?
Gianna's one of those kids that she doesn't let previous at-bats affect her. She has a good eye at the plate. Yesterday she had her first strikeout of the season. So she's not going to strike out. She's going to have good at-bats. She's going to put the ball in play. And she's just one of those kids that she shows up to compete. She doesn't, like I said, let one at-bat lead to another bad at-bat or anything like that, or one error lead to another error. So we're like, let's just put her up there, and she's been performing ever since.
Next week, we're going to talk to a softball player, Maddie Canez, or as Coach G likes to call her, Maddie Canes. Well, what's it been like to coach Maddie, and what I think she's second on the team in batting average going into this week, so she's been hitting the ball for you very well. In addition to Gianna, what does she bring to this team?
She brings toughness. She's a kid that will go out there every single day and compete. She's a utility player, so we have played her all over the field. She's played third base before. We've had her play first base a little bit last year. She's primarily playing outfield this year and left field. And she's just a kid that wants to play. She doesn't care what position it is. She doesn't care where she is in the lineup. She's going to dive. She's going to hustle. She's going to do everything that's asked of her to help this team. And so we love having her.
So playing to win, in other words.
Yes.
In terms of the pitching, where do you think that the pitching is? Got a couple of pretty decent outings against Northwestern Oklahoma State. I know in the previous weekend, maybe not up to the standard that you would have liked. Where do you feel like this pitching staff is at this point?
We're obviously not where we want to be, but I think yesterday was a step in the right direction.
Sure.
We've seen these kids go out there and hit their spots, make their pitches work, so we know they can do it. Once again, I think it's all upstairs, and
Sure.
they just have to go out there and they have to believe in what they do every single day in the bullpen and translate it into the game. So.
Well, you guys know that on the Jetcast, we don't always just stay on the sport, and it's amazing when you get other opportunities how you research and you learn things, and you wish, nobody just tells me these things. How do I have to learn this? But there is a certain Wichita State baseball player whose last name is Gustafson. Jaden G made his debut. I actually got to call some of his games, got his first ever collegiate hit. How exciting was that? Were you watching or listening, or were you at the game? Because I know that, the baseball season for Wichita State is going on at the same time as Newman, but what was that like to be able to experience his first hit?
Oh, I was actually there at the game for his first hit, and that was really exciting to see him get that. And, he's had some up and downs. He's a true freshman, so he's learning, but he has a way better head on his shoulders than I ever did at that age, so he doesn't usually tend to let one bad at bat lead to another. So when I was there and I saw that, it was really exciting to see.
Well, and I got to call some of that Stetson series on ESPN Plus and radio, and then, just this past weekend, I did the PA for one of those games, and he came in, he had a couple more good at bats, so not getting a ton of opportunities, but boy, here as a pinch hitter these last couple of games, he's really been taking advantage of them. How much you got a couple of D1 athletes for parents, and dad played basketball, you play softball. How did you kind of get him more toward the diamond sports? What made him what made him a more natural fit for baseball?
He grew up at the softball field, so he was at all my practices growing up. He was a lefty.
Yeah.
He watched all of our slappers all the time, so when he was younger, he liked to go out there and pretend like he was a slapper and stuff. So I think that's where, because he likes to go the left side a lot, so I think that's kind of where his left side ability comes from, is he works on keeping his hands inside the ball and kind of pushing it to the left side like the slappers do. But he's got a pretty big body, so I think he needs to, work a little bit more on pulling the ball and get a little more power. But
he hit a couple of those balls pretty hard, for sure. How much are you able to watch? And I mean, is there, in between innings, are you kind of looking down at the phone to kind of check on the Shockers?
I have at times, yeah.
Sure.
I wanted to see what's going on. And so the last couple weeks, though, on the weekend, we've had some free time a little bit. So I've been able to go to some of those games. I wasn't there for the OU game for his first start. It was, a learning experience for him in that game.
Course.
But my dad had texted me. We were playing games, and he's like, "Jaden's starting," and I was like, "Oh my gosh!" We were right in the middle of our game, and I'm coaching,
of course.
My kid's starting his first game too, so it's
a balance.
Yes,
well, congratulations to you guys, and certainly hope that Jaden G is certainly our favorite Shocker here at this school as well. Pivoting back to you guys and your team, obviously a big series coming up on the road, going to Missouri Western and then Northwest Missouri. What do you feel like are the keys and things that you've been looking at in terms of getting prepared for the Griffins and the Bearcats this weekend?
Well, both of them have very good programs. Northwest Missouri State is much improved over last year. They both have a couple pitchers, that are doing pretty well this year. But I think, like I've said before, there hasn't been a team that we face that I don't think that we can beat. And I go into every single day believing that we're going to get it done. So I look at us more so than the other team, whether we're going to show up to compete offensively, whether we're going to, show up to compete on the mound defensively, all of that. We have to play to win, and that's what I'm really looking for our team to do this weekend.
It is a 2 o'clock doubleheader on Friday up at St. Joseph, and then they go to Northwest Missouri State. It is a noon doubleheader on Saturday. You can watch all 4 of the games on the MIAA Network, the MIAAnetwork.com/Newman. Coach, good luck to you in Missouri this weekend.
Thank you.
And we'll be joined again by her softball player, Maddie Caines, coming up next week, Maddie Kinez. And then we'll also be talking, I believe we've got Coach Torgerson back on the show next week, finally feeling back up to 100%. So we'll see you then. So until then, Blake Cripps in Wichita saying, go Jets.